Thanks for joining me another time here. We've got a classical guitar. And by the way, my name is Scott, and we're gonna fix this thing up. It came into me with no strings on it, and then once I strung it up, I realized we had some issues. So I'll show you. I've got a 5/1000th of an inch feeler gauge, and I can put it right through that bridge. It was missing one of these dots. I put this one in. There's a couple screws holding it down, but we're going to dig these out, remove the bridge, clean it up, and re-glue it. And also, the cool thing about this guitar is that it's kind of like signed by all these local folk artists. Right here you can see I Love You, Carolina Blue, Rattlesnake Annie, Fred Kohler down here. There's a even more famous person down here. It's hard to read, but there's quite a few autographs on here, and she really has sentimental value to her, so she wants to get her all fixed up. But this is another major problem, is that the neck joint has become separated from the body. I can put this 5/1000th of an inch feeler gauge quite a ways down in here, but under string tension it didn't get any bigger, so it's not like a major problem. But I want to maybe saw away a little bit of this and kind of do a neck reset for her. Got the bridge underneath this heat lamp warming up. And get some D-glue goo underneath this bridge. Didn't need much on that side, geez. Maybe the only thing holding this bridge on is the screws. It's held pretty good on this side, I guess. I didn't realize these were machine screws. I forgot. There's a nut inside under each one of these. Good Lord. There's the nut. There we go. Both nuts out. Jeez. Those were some long screws. Oh yeah. I don't know how they expected this to ever stay down. Kind of drives me crazy when I see people on YouTube spending hours scraping this old glue off when all you have to do is warm it up, the heat lamp. It comes off like butter. Warm up your glue, guys. Don't spend all day scraping cold glue. As a matter of fact, it gets so soft so fast. I might not even want to use a chisel, or I might want to scrape it like this. But it comes right off with a little bit of water. We're going to have this whole thing cleaned up right away. Jasco Premium Paint Epoxy Remover. I don't have real high hopes for this. I think it's polyester. Let's see what happens. So this is kind of good news. See that little bubbling that's going on there? Looks like the clear finish might be pulling up. Oh, this is great. So this is more likely is a lacquer finish. Cool, man. Again, I'm not going to sit here all day scraping. I use a chemical stripper to give me a huge head start on the project. 10-15 minutes it will be all cleaned off. So underneath the lacquer layer there appears to be a polyester sealer, which is that white looking stuff. So that sometimes can be a pretty darn thick layer. And I wouldn't imagine wood glue is going to stick too good to it, so I might just re-glue this thing back on here with epoxy. Easy does it. Re-drill these holes. I filled them. Now I'm going to re-drill them. I'll put these screws back in there first to keep it from sliding around. This is some pretty fine screws, and this nut, before I go sticking it back in the guitar, I wanted to make sure I have a wrench that fits it. I don't want to stick it in the guitar and then go trying to figure out what size wrench would fit this nut. I want to know ahead of time it's a 13/64 wrench. So I'm going to leave that little wrench out on the bench so I'm ready later on when I go to tighten those up a little more. I'm also going to wax the screws. I don't want them permanently epoxied into the guitar. I think by coating them with some paste wax will allow the next guy to unscrew them if he needs to. If there is a next guy. This isn't the finest, strongest industrial strength epoxy by any means, but should be good enough for a classical guitar bridge. I've got a little throwaway stick here. I don't have to clean it off when I'm done. I maybe kind of sort of recycle it if I need to, but there's plenty of little sticks around anyways. And this bridge, I scuffed it with 80 grit sandpaper and then I scored these lines in it. Hopefully that gives the epoxy somewhere to go. I did the same on the polyester finish on the on the soundboard. 80 grit. I didn't scratch it up with the knife, but I did 80 grit sandpaper. Thin coat of epoxy. Should get some squeeze out on this guy. See, that was to slide all over the place. Get them screws in there. It already started squeezing out a little bit. We've done the glue up. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Next I want to show you a little something. I probed around at the neck joint with a little Japanese saw to see if I could get it to come loose. And it's on there pretty good, you know, it seems like a pretty solid joint. But I need to go back in where that gap was. Remember, I can get a 10,000 of an inch feeler gauge into that neck joint and make it look good now. Right there. I got the heat lamp here. I'm going to show you a little trick that's more along the lines of furniture repair that we don't see much in guitar repair, but I think it's totally cool to do on a guitar. Okay, these are touch-up sticks. Wood fillers, blend sticks, stuff like that. I have clear, I have brown. What I do is I hold it up against the heat lamp for a few seconds and it softens it. Doesn't take long at all. Once it softens, I go in there and I jam it down in this crack here. Okay, maybe not something you'd want to do on like a $10,000 Martin. You'd probably want to make sure the joint is good to begin with. But on something like this, it's fine. It's mostly a wax stick, is what it is. We'll get a little closer up view here. Hold on. When it cools, it gets hard real quick. Kind of push it down in and give it a second application. This is naphtha. Naphtha cleans up wax really nice. Now I can go over top of this with some color and maybe some clear finish. I actually have a darker stick that may have looked a little better, but we'll go over this with some reddish lacquer or something. This joint was already looking like someone put some filler in there. That That may have just been residual stuff from the factory. This ain't gonna make it look any worse. This is the darker color I was talking about. And naphtha cleans it right up. I know there's a bunch of guys out there probably saying, you can't put wax products, furniture stuff on guitars. You'll ruin the value of it. You know what, guys? All furniture finishes, or guitar finishes, come from furniture finishes. They're just, guitar guys just used what's left over by the auto industry and the furniture makers. The demand for furniture in cars is way bigger than guitars, guys. I've even given my customers a choice in the past of, do you want your guitar finished with stringed instrument lacquer, or do you want the furniture grade stuff that's only rated for like one cold checking cycle? And they'll be like, man, I want my guitar to check as much as possible. If you could give me the furniture stuff, that'd be great. And they just love it. And then there'll be a guy coming on YouTube to give me advice. You know, you really shouldn't do that. Yada yada, you should do this. Here we're going to take some clear finish. This Endurovar is a pretty thick, water-based finish that is very durable. I actually went on to YouTube the other day and looked up Rattlesnake Annie. She's one of the folk artists that has carved their name on this guitar. She was pretty cool, kind of like a female Willie Nelson of Nashville country. And also some of the other names on there, like Fred Kohler. He's got his own Wikipedia page. Marshall Chapman, Janice Ian, Pebby Siebert, Keisha's mom, Peeb. I don't know if it's Pebby or Peeb. Siebert, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to look those people up too. Don't you hate these things? Very primitive design. Very primitive. We got some Type Bond original. Let's give this baby a listen. It's been a long time since she's played. She's back in service.